Hello everyone, welcome to an extra part of the anime discussion series. And Hijuti, would you like to introduce today's topic to everyone?
Yes. Hello, everyone. This is Shijuti, and that's Sujata. Sujata, say hi.
Hello everyone. We
Yeah.
are back
So today we
again.
are back again. We are back again, and today we are going to talk about gender in anime and manga. I'm hoping that we have some solid discussion today. So I'm going to start with an anecdote. So yesterday I was talking to my boss, and I was talking about the things that we are doing. He actually checked out the videos. It's very sweet of him. And he was narrating this story when he went to Japan. He lived in Japan for some time, and I think he was in some like, university as a senior research fellow. And then gender was the topic of discussion with one of the professors there. And the question that was asked to that said professor, Japanese professor, that why is there a distinct division between men's profession and women's profession in Japan? And the professor gave a very diplomatic, a rather diplomatic answer. He said, 50% of our population and works on building the nation, etc., 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 while 50% of the population needs the women that builds on works on building the future generation. So it's like the gender roles, profession, everything is defined. Like the men is going to go to work, and the woman is going to stay at home, do all the household chores, and raise children. So, and yes, I think yesterday, Sujata, you and I were talking about this. And Sujata said that anime and manga, they came into being as a form of breaking the societal norm. Was form of a rebel. So, what do you think? How has been gender roles are depicted in anime and manga? On India, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe it is rebellious in some way, but it doesn't make much difference, like especially, I mean, it has started making changes now, but at some point, it still hasn't. Like, if you read shoujo mangas, you'll see that most of the female protagonists or kind of want to follow the male protagonists, and they are kind of treated as rehabilitation centers rather than people. I mean, it's just shown that if you are a woman, you can heal a man, and you should, and the man, the male protagonist, will do unspeakable things to the woman. And the readers who are mostly, I guess, I mean, I'm biased, but anyway, um, the readers are mostly teenagers, and they fantasize about it, having those tsundere male boyfriends. I mean, tsundere are those who are outwardly very stoic or mean, but inwardly they are so sweet, and they disrespect women, all women, but they will be sweet to one woman, that is his woman. But it doesn't really make much sense, because if you respect women, you should treat every woman, I mean, equally nicely. It's just basic human sensibility. But mangas do not show that. But recently, there are changes. Like, there's this a new kind of genre which has come up, like the isekai mangas or manhwas or webtoons. In those, we see the female protagonists are very bold, and they do not need a man in their life. I mean, the male protagonist is strong and supportive. Okay, cool, but that woman, that female protagonist, she doesn't need a man to be herself to fight against the whole nation, actually. And that is, I guess, I mean, Japan is changing, I believe, in that way. Just few years ago, it was not so. And I mean, manga has always been like manga and anime. They have been fighting kind of secretly, that's what I can say, and in more subtle ways. Like Japan is very much parochial in a lot of ways. So you cannot just outright fight against the society like that, and you will hardly even hear about revolutions there. So I mean, they have to be very subtle. So there are mangas like I've talked about Kartaka Sakura in the previous video as well. It was Katabe Sakura was probably written in circa 1999 or something like that. And even then, the gender roles, I mean, uh, Sakura has a family. She has a father and a brother, and uh, but the household chores are equally distributed. Sakura is not, I mean, all of the household chores are not imposed on her. And apart from that, um, like I've talked about in the previous video as well, UA, UA is born, I mean, he's a magical creature and he can change into any form, but he chooses to be a man because he is destined to be with Sakura, but because of some changes, he ends up with Sakura's elder brother. In the whole course of the anime, neither UA or UA's human form Yukito or Sakura's elder brother Toya, they never actually say that they love each other, but still, I mean, it's just shown that they just love each other. They are totally in for each other, all over each other. So it's just subtle, like even love is depicted that way, that you do not always have to say the words to express your love for somebody. And uh, the whole thing is shown so subtly that nobody can actually fight against it. Nobody can. And people are often left confused and they do not, most of the people do not even think about it because the main protagonists are more of a concern than they are. So most of the people don't even notice, but those who can and those who think about it can really see that how amazing the whole thing is. And a few years later, some a manga called Usutsuki Lily was written, and the gender roles, they are amazingly. I mean, it is amazingly shown. You know, like the whole story begins with a girl being proposed by the male protagonist, and the male protagonist has a habit of cosplaying because I mean cross-playing actually, being I mean dressing up as a girl, and the whole story. When we start with it, we often feel like okay, he has some trauma. The female protagonist will obviously help him to recover from that, and he will start dressing up as a man. That's how it starts. But in the end, the female protagonist accepts the guy as who he is, and she sometimes even eventually starts cross-playing. I mean, how beautiful is that, that you accept a person as who he is, and you even make efforts to show the world that it's fine to be like this. I mean, it's, so I guess slowly but surely Japan's mentality has been changing, and they are rebelling more. I guess they are not covertly revolting anymore. They are overtly revolting. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Right. It's very interesting. Thank you, Anindita. So Anindita said something that Japan is changing, and then she added in the end that not overtly it's changing, right? And if I can remember, Ronnie said something in the previous videos that Japan is not a utopia. right? So continuing with what Adinita said, Japan is really changing. So I want to ask Ronnie, is Japan really changing? What do you think?
Okay, so
Like in this context, what we are talking about, gender.
yeah, I think it is because I do think like Japan. Okay, just hold on. Yeah. So yes, so we're talking about like gender representation, and in context of gender representation, I would say Japan, especially the youth, has been changing. Like the older generations, uh, the middle-aged people, and everyone, like they still find it difficult to grasp the concept of like different kinds of things they're not um, accustomed to. Like, for example, different gender identities and gender expressions and things like that. But even then, I think even in like traditional Japan, like there's this culture of otokonoko, which means male daughter, and I mean it's not like it's kind of like uh, the Hijra community and everyone here in India and like many other cultures or ancient cultures all around the world, like they have this concept of like a different kind of identity, but it's not really accepted in the society. I mean, they tolerate the existence, yes, but they don't exactly accept them as, oh yeah, these people are just fine, they don't have any kinds of issue, they are just normal human beings, but they think of them like something different, and that's the problem. But I think in the younger generations in Japan, uh, through these representations in anime, manga, and other forms of media, it's quite changing. Even the kawaii culture. I mean, today, if you go to Japan or any of the East Asian countries, you'll find like there are many men who just dress up however they want. It could be they could dress up feminine one day and then masculine the other day, or they can just spend their entire lives as dressing up feminine, but they will still identify as a man, or they can identify as a woman, in which case they would be a trans woman. And that's just that. So I think the gender fluidity is growing in Japan, which is good. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that. Also, yeah, there's another thing like in anime and manga, there's this thing called craps. Well, the controversy, the term is quite controversial for different reasons, which we might come at later on in this video. But what I wanted to say, so basically these are characters which are like uh, they are male by birth, or they could be intersex, I guess, because it's not usually revealed. For example, in certain cases like Hideyoshi from Bakato Testo, but these characters really break the gender stereotypes in Japan, and it's quite good to see like Japan at least. I mean, there was a time when these characters were just there for the sake of comedy, but these days with characters like Astolfo and there are many other characters, these characters actually are in anime and media because they have an actual role, and they just happen to be such and such character, which I think is a good sign showing the gender fluidity in modern Japan and among the youth. Okay, so that's what I would say. Yeah.
Right, right. So, Srirani, you have to say anything about this? Yeah. Hi, Srirani. Yeah, you're mute.
Yeah, I was. Um, I don't know how to
By the
begin
way,
with.
guys, Sridhar is a great artist. I hope we get to see some of her artworks, glimpse of her artworks later on, or even now if you want to. Anyway, yeah, Sridhar, go on.
Okay, I think that as Anindita Didi and Ronnie Bhaiya said before that, I'm sorry if I address you guys really weirdly. I am not much of a sorry, sorry. So
Just say Anidita and Ronnie. We don't want to like. You
Okay.
don't want to sound old.
Mhm. Okay. So they said that before, the female characters or protagonists were shown as meek, supportive, or typical women, as a character of typical women. So there was this time during Kishimoto's interview during the Naruto series. So the gender discrimination over there near his house area was really very prevalent. So for fighting that, he made the main anime villain Kaguya as the villain, so that the concept of women also, as that they can be powerful, they can be really intimidating, they can be even crooked sometimes if needed. So all the sides that the male can be also can be shown for as a female character. So Masashi Kishimoto, I think, did a really amazing job making Kaguya as a villain, and also at the same time, we see some animes like anime characters like Esdith, who is a villain in what was the anime? Akamega Kill. Akamega Kill, Esdith was the villain, and also there are many characters where women are portrayed as a villain or a really cruel characters, gruesome characters. And also there are some times when women are shown as very strong, such as obviously Tsunade Sakura. Even though I don't know why she's regarded as useless, but she was strong anyways. So yeah, just stuff like that. That's all I had to say. That I think that maybe manga can change and is changing day by day.
Swearshi? Hello, Swearshi. Swearshi, you there?
Yes.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, everybody is correct on their way, but manga and anime, they show that women and men are equal, and there's that help for equality in society. Man, you don't have to think about female character has to be less powerful or less intimidating. Mm, for both male and female can be equally powerful, which is quite helpful from my childhood. And then now there is other genres are coming up, like boys love and girls uh, lesbian characters. Those
Yaoi
are
and
also
Yaoi.
yes,
Yaoi
Yaoi
and
and Yuri.
Yuri. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Yuri, yeah.
yeah.
Those also show the side of the society which most of the adults don't know. But uh, teenagers are
No,
accepting them quite
I'm
nicely,
sure the adults know, but they are just being ignorant about it.
but they don't like that. Nah, they don't have the knowledge or accepting can't accept them like as we teenagers can. Don't know because they there must be some
Okay, by
problem in their
adults, we are all
society when
adults.
they grew. No, what can
Yeah,
I say? They
I
are up.
understand what you're talking about. So, are you trying to say that
Yeah.
Yaoi and Yuri they are not mainstream?
No, they are not mainstream as money or not in present. Maybe later they can be more commercially successful and commercially accepted as mainstream.
Right.
But not
মানে
as
শ্রেয়সী শ্রেয়সী
like
মানে আমি
shonen
এটা জিজ্ঞেস
and
করছি,
like
হ্যাঁ
other
আমি সেটাই
there's
জিজ্ঞেস করছি যে শোনেন জনরা আর অন্য অন্য আর কি জনরা যেগুলো মেইন স্ট্রিম তোর মতে।
yes,
হ্যালো,
they are not. Yes, can
হ্যাঁ
you
মানে
hear me?
শোনেন, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ আমি শুনতে পাচ্ছি, আমি জাস্ট বলছি যে শোনেন আর অন্য জনরা গুলো মেইন স্ট্রিম বলছিস, ইয়াওই আর ইউরি গুলো মেইন
Uh,
স্ট্রিম নয়, বাট মানে তুই বলছিস যে কোনো এক টাইমে in the near future maybe this will be accepted as মানে এগুলো মেইন স্ট্রিম হবে।
Ha. Yes, yes.
Do we I'm going to open up this to everyone. I'm going to start with Hoymonti and then I'm
That
going to
even
open up this question to everyone, is that yaoi and yuri কি সত্যি mainstream নয়? Is it true মানে যেটা শ্রেয়সী বলল? What do you think, Hoymonti?
আম, একটা
but
অ্যানিমে
there are
দেখেছিলাম।
few now. There are few
হ্যাঁ,
now, one or two, like Given and other. I only know Given is kind of a mainstream, but others I don't know. That's why. হ্যাঁ বলো কি বলবে, কে যেন
না
বলছিল।
আমার আমি আমার তেমন
Hoymonti, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
এক্সপিরিয়েন্স নেই, কিন্তু একটা অ্যানিমে দেখেছিলাম যেখানে ইয়াওইটাকে মানে মেইন স্ট্রিম হিসেবে পোর্ট্রে করেছিল, কিস হিম অন মি, কিস হিম নট মি বলে নামটা। তো আমার মনে হচ্ছে ইয়াওইটা বেশি পপুলার, মেইন স্ট্রিম কিনা সেটা বলতে পারছি না। অ্যান্ড অ্যাবাউট দিস জেন্ডার রোলস অতটা অবজার্ভ করিনি, বাট আই ডিড অবজার্ভ দিস। দেয়ার ইজ আ অ্যানিমে গিনটামা, নাম শুনেছে কিনা জানি না, খুব ট্রোলিং অ্যানিমে। ওখানে দে পোর্ট্রেট
হ্যাঁ
ফিমেল
হ্যাঁ
অ্যাজ
হ্যাঁ
অ্যাজ হ্যাঁ, তো অনেকগুলো ভ্যারাইটি অফ ক্যারেক্টার্স, ফিমেল ক্যারেক্টার্স পোর্ট্রে করেছে। দে পোর্ট্রেট আ ফিমেল অ্যাজ আ টম বয়, অ্যাজ আ স্টকার, as a pervert, as a how would I put it, short tempered girl, as a heroine, এরকম আর কি। এই দুটোই বেশ ভালো রকম দেখা। আরেকটা স্টোরি ভালো লেগেছিল যে সবাই বলল, কে যেন আগে একটা বললো যে আগেকার দিনে মানে জেন্ডার রোলসটা ঠিকভাবে ভালোভাবে দেখাতো না, অতটা ওপেন মাইন্ডেড ছিল না। বাট র্যানমা বলে একটা ইয়ে দেখিয়েছে ওখানে। র্যানমা স্টোরিটা জানো কিনা জানি না। ওখানে মানে বেসিক্যালি দুটো মার্শাল আর্ট ফ্যামিলি নিজেদের নিজেদের ছেলে আর মেয়ের বিয়ে ঠিক করে, মানে একসাথে একটা ডোজোকে ইনহেরিট করার জন্য। তো ইনহেরিট করার সময় তখন এটা দেখিয়েছে যে রানমা পাওয়ারফুল, এটাও
আচ্ছা
সাথে দেখিয়েছে যে ফিমেল ক্যারেক্টারটা, ফিমেল প্রোটাগনিস্ট যেটা আকানে, সেও প্রচন্ড পাওয়ারফুল। তো বেসিক্যালি কিছু কিছু এক্সেপশনস তো আছে, ওটাই আর কি বলার ব্যাস।
Acha, Ami, sorry, I
হ্যাঁ
need to need to say something.
Yeah,
Since
yeah.
um, Hoymonti said that yeah, she picked up the topic of Ranma Half. It's a very famous anime. There is this thing
Whenever
I'll
you,
just go by like,
Surata, I'm interrupting you. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Whenever
sure, no
you're
problem.
mentioning the name of the anime, can you use the chat box, because I am very new to anime and I would love to Google about this later on.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
go
আগে
ahead.
শিওর।
I'll send you a list. Don't worry.
Yeah.
মি টু।
Yeah, the
Yeah.
thing
Use
is,
the chat for trivia and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Let's first let me go back to history of Japan. If you go beyond that, I think it was, let me check. Um, Before the war-oriented and feudal war-oriented country it became, before that, it was women had a very important role in Japanese history. Like there was an empress, there are famous writers, okay, women writers. So after and it also gives a history of mangas. Mangas was originally started to impart information to public. Okay, so that it can hold interest. It didn't only talk about just politics and all, just simple news things. It talked about politics. It about different genders, different. Then it talked about not only that, uh, any open manga actually openly sexual practices. It was a kind of an advertisement and educational part of Japanese history. Okay, so like after the feudal era kind of, there was a there's a change, transgression towards like the what we see now, we consider it to be a very conservative society. Like males have particular roles and females have particular roles. Okay, it was now it's much better, but at that moment, women were considered to be a second citizen of Japan. Okay, it was, or more or less, it wasn't said that they are the second citizens, but it was considered to be like that second citizenship characterized by some particular. We still like those kind of it's described that a very meek humans. Women are supposed to be very meek, always thinking about family, nothing more, nothing more. Her only goal should be getting married to a good family, be the childbearing machine, you can say. That was the thing. And I think earlier mangas and earlier animes, to some extent, they showed, and yet again they rebelled. Like Homonki said about Ranma half. I think Ranma half. I think 1/2. I don't know how it was. Actually, we used to call Ranma only. The characters, I think, if I'm not wrong, Ranma used to change between being a girl and being uh, a man, right? A girl and a boy. And the female protagonist was first depicted as someone who's very strong, who's thinking about only like practicing her dojos and all the things. But then I think she said this thing, if I'm not wrong, that probably she'll change if she falls in love with a man. Okay, and then finally, when she starts having feeling for the male protagonist, her pattern of workforce started changing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, she started. Time for practice. She reduced the time for practice. He wanted to look more feminine, and all. And there's another that what that's
Yeah.
very smart for the author, that he how he portrays Ranma also, because Ranma has a very that very strong masculine kind of personality. Okay, that of Sandre, he was very like, I'm kind of a boss kind of a characteristic. But later on the series, uh, he'll start accepting that the other half of him, where he used to turn to a female, and start like it wasn't very kind of a very he was very, this female should be like this, male should be like this kind of an attitude person. He had this kind of
Yes.
an
Yes.
attitude, but gradually it changed, right? If I'm not wrong, because I've watched this series quite days back. So I think uh, my question is over here. Do you think like it still like shocks me, like if you see the, not the modern, but like around a few, let's say just a decade early on also, you'll see that any mangas, or whether it's shoujo, shonen, the female characters were portrayed in a particular way, like uh, though they are strong or something, but they were portrayed by like they always need a man to like complete herself. Okay, so my question is that though since we are saying that Japan has changed a lot on how they are saying, but yet I'm finding it very unbelievable that the portrayal of feminism is still the age-old thing, that someone who needs to be very meek and accept the male representatives of the society as more uh, what predominant, or very more knowledgeable than themselves. What do you think? Ronnie, let's start with you.
Okay, so Here, two anime which were discussed earlier in this video, so I wanted to address both of them. Well, first of all, let's talk about Ranma Half. It is my favorite manga by Rumiko Takahashi. I love it even more so than Inuyasha or Urusei Yatsura, but there are some problems with it. Like, for example, let's take Akane, the lead female protagonist. And yes, she was being depicted as a strong, independent woman and everything at the beginning. And then enter Ranma, this arrogant man who just had a curse of turning into a woman. Uh, and then gradually Akane's life changed. But towards the end of the manga, I mean, the anime was not complete. Like, there were several chapters from the manga which were not adapted into the anime. Uh, so the thing is, like, Akane started being more feminine later in the story. I mean, she was still strong, don't get me wrong, but she started being more like that. And I'm not saying it's wrong for a woman to decide, like, yeah, okay, so I got a partner, I guess I can just stop being strong and everything. But is that like, I think the representation was somewhat, I mean, it's quite an old, it's from the 1980s. So, like, yeah, I can understand that which what was the norm back then, and it was still quite rebellious, I guess, uh, if that term I should use, for the society. But it was still like, okay, Akane is strong, but that's just because she didn't have a male counterpart or something. But then when she got it, she started becoming more meek and feminine, which I kind of which was somewhat, uh, I guess I didn't like that much. But it's still one of my favorite manga of all time. And then I wanted to address this thing about Naruto. Like, yes, the main villain, the main antagonist, the final boss of the story was Kaguya, was female. But let's be real, Kishimoto had a huge problem with depicting female characters throughout the series. Let it be Sakura, Hinata, even Tsunade, who is one of the strongest people in the entire series. Like, Tsunade was just like degraded into being kind of fan service as for most of the story. Yes, she had her moments and everything, but like for most of the story, she was there for boobs. And Hinata, yeah, Hinata is good. I mean, I love her personality and everything, but like every even Sakura, yeah, yes, Sakura is strong, not as strong as the gods Naruto and Sasuke, of course, but she is strong. And Tenten, she had potential, but these all these characters suffered from uh, what should I say, like less screen time, I guess, because they didn't have as much development as the male characters. I mean, this, yeah, the series focused mostly on Naruto and Sasuke, the rivalry between them, but they had quite some development for characters like Kakashi, Obito, and all of these were male characters. Yes, they had some development for Hinata, Sakura, and I won't deny that, but I think the female characters in Naruto suffered from like kind of like this mentality, like yeah, the lead are the male ones, so we don't need much backstories for female characters. And don't even get me started on Tintin. I mean, she had nothing. I mean, she had so much potential, but nothing was shown about. There was nothing shown about Tintin. And yeah, like that's what I wanted to say about this true anime, I guess. Sujata, you do you want to ask
Anita,
something? Okay.
do you have anything to say, Anita? Are you there? Ah, do you have anything to say regarding this?
Yeah, well, the thing is about a man when when a woman gets a man, only then she becomes something greater or something like that. It all, when we think about it, we have to think about the age old concept of love. I mean, we all are fed with fairy tales, like only when a man and a woman, they come together and they fall in love, only then they can be some, they can be the better version of themselves. The whole thing about being something amazing by yourself, it is something which I guess is a new fad. I mean, people didn't really think about it much. Even now, if you think about it, আমার boyfriend নেই, আমার girlfriend নেই, I'm so sad, I'll die. এটাই this is a thing which everybody talks about, right? মানে আমি single খুশি আছি. This concept is something very few people will accept. তো তাই জন্যই সবসময় যে একটা মেল কাউন্টার পার্টের ইম্পর্টেন্স it's given that much, relevance. আর তাছাড়া the other thing is, most if you think about it, most of the mangas or animes we are talking about, they're popular ones. We have not considered those who are not popular. And in Japan, most of the I mean readers are actually considered to be, I think they are, most of them are males, not females. And in a patriarchal society, if if a man is shown something so different, I mean, where a woman is being herself, being strong by herself, is something which is kind of not acceptable, at least to a man in a patriarchal society. So, because of that, most of the mangas which are revolutionary, uh, they are not popular, like even mangas with gender, I mean, like I talked about Usotsuki, it's not famous. Most of the shoujo mangas are not famous. Most of the mangas which deal with mental health, they are not famous. Famous are those which are read by males, to be honest, if I have to say it. So that's why, even though there were many authors who wrote amazing mangas, like uh, there's this um, there's this manga called Kanatakara, and I forgot the author's name, but she has written many mangas where the female protagonist is strong even without a male protagonist. It's not like she needs a man to be, like I said, a better version of herself. She needs a man because, I mean, in this society, without love, without marriage, we cannot think of anything else. Just like that. But those mangas are not popular. Those mangas are not even adapted into anime. Even if you think about Kaichou Maid Sama, the female protagonist is very strong. She suffers from misandry, and she is helped by Usui Takumi a lot. I get it, but she's strong. And even though that manga was popular, that anime was popular, it was uh, stopped being adapted around chapters 27. Most of the shoujo mangas suffered through that, because most of the male readers cannot really accept that kind of story, and they are more interested in Naruto or shonen, to be honest, where you get a waifu like character, where the male protagonist is always supported by a person. And it's mostly because uh, I think when we read something, we kind of want to identify with that character, and we somewhat want to be like that character. I mean, not it may not be so for everybody, but many people are like that, right? And when we read something, we want something like that to happen to us, because we are so bored with our monotonous life. So when a man is reading something like that, and when a teenager who has very less experience in love reads that, obviously he has also seen that in his family, it is the uh, the father is the dominating person, the mother is not, because Japan is a patriarchal society. So that reader will also want somebody like that. Nah, so when he is reading that, he would want somebody like that only. And that's why those mangas which are I mean, where strong characters, strong female leads and characters are there, they did not gain much fame much after later. I mean, uh, like it it's around, it's sad, but even in let's forget about Japan, even in the outer society, I mean, outer world, like India, America, or West, or the whole of West, even there, those animes or mangas did not gain much fame until recently. I mean, the West is supposed to be very modern, right? Even they didn't accept it. So how can, I mean, Japan is like, I mean, it's modern only on the outside. It's not so in the inside. So, uh, well, patriarchy is everywhere now. So that's why it's taking time to change. But the fact that recently there's this shoujo manga called Fruits Basket. It right now shoujo mangas are actually being adapted fully. Like Basket was left halfway when it was first adapted, but after all this time, the whole manga is being adapted because the whole manga is very much problematic because it deals with a lot of mental health issues, and they have chosen to adapt the whole manga. So it's a big change. And well, if we talk about uh, uh, Akatsuki no Yona, the female character is strong. It's changing. So I think uh, it is taking time, but somehow it is changing. And with more time, people will become more accepted. I mean, they will start being more open minded and they will think more, I guess, and accept things. That's what I think.
Okay, one question. What Anindita said that how how she described the male protagonists of those mangas. Like it can be said though those male protagonists were metrosexual. Hopefully everyone is aware of that term, right? Okay. Uh, is it uh, does this like this what we say the reading popularity of the mangas or anime, does it depend on depend on like societal thinking of that metrosexual of not accepting metrosexuality as a regular norm? What do you think? Is my question clear?
Should I talk about it?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so what I think about metrosexuality and like the modern society in general is like there are like many men in the society who are like okay, so let me being frank, there are several
Hmm.
men in the society who are basically just sexually frustrated, they're incels and these people think like modernization and the modern society in general, more liberal society, which is going away farther and farther from the conservatism and traditionalism, and this society is emasculating them, and they think like, yeah, they don't find a meaning to this because they never learned to accept anything other than being the patriarch, I guess. uh, the voice, the louder one, always shouting at people, just telling people their place to be in their places, and that's how what they have learned things. And so when they see the modernization in society, like mostly the liberal people, they cannot take it because they feel like they're being emasculated and they're some core part of their identities are being taken away, and that's why they're like really opposed to modernization and not accepting to things like metrosexuality. So that's what I think. Like this is the reason why there's so much opposition to modernization, metrosexuality, or whatever you want to call it. Like this sense of emasculation, and so this the traditionalism promises them something like self glorification, which I've talked about before in some other places, but the self glorification where they think, oh yes, so this, if I go to this, then I cannot be made. I mean, these people don't have any kind of restrictions and everything, but I've spent my entire life being this masculine, heavy, bulky dude who likes to do like manly things or something like that. And but this liberal society doesn't has different kinds of people, and I think that acts them, they just cannot accept them because they have so fragile egos that they think when someone else does it, they're they are attacked personally, which is not the case. It's just their egos being hurt. But traditionalism tells them that, oh no, we love you, we want you to do what you do, we want you to lead others even though it's forcefully. And that's why they choose traditionalism over progressiveness.
Uh, Srijani, what do you think
About
about this? What I said about metrosexualism, that whether the like representation of metrosexual uh, people in shoujo mangas is one of the reason for them being the shoujo manga or shoujo anime being so unpopular among people, like in general. No.
um I don't really know about this topic much, but I can take a guess like গেসে বলা অতটা ঠিক হবে না, it's just like হাওয়ায় কথা বলা, but then again mostly এটা তো probably it's probably because that female weaves are really very less, and uh, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Probably female waves are very less. I don't know if you guys have heard about it randomly over social media, that whenever I mention that, yeah, I am a weeb, and people are like, oh, you're a weeb and a female. Oh, that's rare. I so I think that's the case. Shoujo manga hasn't been popular because of the difference in taste that has been going on through the space of time. I think that's it.
Uh-huh. Okay. Shreyoshi? Shreyoshi?
Yeah, Aninditari and Ronnie said most of it. Uh, it's always been like man, in society always masculinity matter, and woman always has to be uh, cute and shy and talk quietly, which men prefer more than a woman who speak loudly and physically strong. It's a phase of a society which is more popular than believe more in masculinity than equality, and that's the effect in that also shows the effect in manga and anime. So that's it. Nothing, and everybody said quite nicely. Okay.
Hormonti, you have anything?
No, no. I'm just listening to you guys.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Shreyoshi?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Very knowledgeable.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, when Shujata, when you say metrosexuality, does it only applies to heterosexual males?
Mm, Usually
Like when you
it
said
does.
like, you understand what I'm saying?
Usually it does because there is a kind of a taboo in not taboo. It's considered those any male or yeah
But
male
but you said,
that
but
if
when you said metrosexuality, do you know what metrosexuality means? And everybody kind of agreed to it, like, yeah, yeah, we know. So I don't know what's like a textbook definition of metrosexuality, but I think in pop culture
textbook
it
definition
means,
I won't be saying.
yeah.
Metrosexuality, I'll just say it is mainly used for men, because those men who loves to like pamper themselves, get dressed, and do shopping. Okay, but according to societal,
Like
it's a very taboo.
waxing chest, getting
Yeah, to
eyebrows
be a bit
done. Yeah.
presentative, kind of. But
Like what is typically assigned for, oh, girls do it. Only girls get their
yes, yes.
chest
But so it's a
but
kind of a taboo
against that.
thing. It's an unconscious taboo thing. Like it is considered that those men who are metrosexual are uh, uh, either are homosexual or
Like
mainly
what
falls to the
Ronnie said,
yeah.
emasculated. Like if you adopt these and these habits, is that something you would like to say, Ronnie? Like emasculation of
Well, yeah, I mean, they feel like, I
not
mean,
quite, yeah,
the
but
conservative men feel like they're being emasculated or something out there.
yeah, yeah. So because these are the things only women do, and then I think Onimita said something. I'm completely digressing from this sexuality. That you use the word waifu, right? Waifu,
White.
right? Yeah, and I was Sujata and I were talking to someone else the other day, and like, so waifu is this character that all the men and every straight men typically fantasize about. They wish they have a girlfriend like waifu, etc. I mean, it's something ideal. You don't see those characters in real human. I mean, and then playfully I asked this guy, "Oh, have you found anyone who has the waifu characteristics?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I did found someone like that." Or then he went on to a personal story, which I will obviously share. So, if I have to ask you guys, what exactly waifu means, and the way I'm typically talking about female characters now, the way female characters are drawn, depicted, portrayed, even if I'm talking about mangas, the art style, and everything, do you think at times that they are being overtly sexualized? And I think, what's the word that help me out here? Is it etchy? Etchy is like a right. Etchy
Yes.
is that
It's
a
a
genre?
genre, huh?
Is that a
It's
genre?
a
Yeah.
genre, huh?
Yeah, so that is being forcefully introduced in the storyline,
Yeah.
in the artwork,
Yeah,
just to
huh. Showing the
just to
physical appearances.
yeah, just to draw a lot of attention
Uh,
to it.
lots of at grabbing lots of attention. Yeah, yeah, I can
Right,
understand.
lots of
Yeah.
attention, and so that's there because the market has to have a demand for it.
It's a demand of market. You can say that.
Right. Yeah, it demands more. Obviously, sex. So, what do you think about that? Is that problematic? This sexualization, this overtly sexualization. I mean, everyone likes a bit of a tease, right? I mean, it's like sexualizing men, women, or whatever. So, is it problematic? Do you find something? Do you find some anime depiction or things depicted in manga, and it's like, oh, this is. I wish this was not mentioned or made. I
I
mean,
mean,
are there moments when you found that, oh, this is too much. This is a bit too much. Should it be there or
I mean, okay, so there are obviously like some anime which are like, okay, so overtly over sexualization of female characters in anime is like, yeah, it is a thing, and I think, I don't think it in of itself is a huge problem. I mean, it's mostly like what in shonen anime and manga, and you have to understand like the target audience for this anime, this kind of media is like the teenagers, the teenage boys, and they're going through puberty and stuff. So yeah, they're a bunch of horny boys. So that's why they would love this kind of thing, and that's why they do this just for the marketing. But I don't think it's like just restricted to girls. I think there is sexualization of male characters as well. Yeah, it is a lot less in comparison. But like, for example, the yaoi anime and manga, like they're highly sexual and they're smart and everything. But yeah, there were sometimes some cases when uh, this like yeah the plot is okay, mediocre and everything, but they spend everything just to sexualize the characters, and I would be like, yeah, okay, I'm fine with some fan service and stuff, but you yeah, I mean, if there's not a plot, what's the meaning? Like, it's just for that sexualization, and I don't usually like that, but I can understand they have an audience, and as long as they have an audience for something, they will keep on making it. Doesn't matter how much opposition they get for that or anything. If they have an audience, they will make it.
I have a question. I don't know whether it will be going off topic or something. This said that as long as audience take it, like, is there can the reason be like, since our, like, in our society, uh, those maybe to some extent in the Western society it isn't seen it that way, but at least in the Oriental society, since we live in one, I can say that, is it because the concept of, or the topic of sexuality is a kind of a tabooed term in here, like we cannot discuss about it. That's why this kind of a, suppose, it's a kind of a thing like, have reading a Nietzsche manga, it's like eating a forbidden food. uh, is it,
I mean,
is it that's
okay.
why it's being,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
is
are
it being
not
like,
discussed in normally, so they like to imagine things, and that's why they think it's not forbidden to read, and it's like you do uh, in private, but not everybody knows about it, because it's not in generalized in society. We don't talk about it naturally. About, that's why. Okay.
okay, okay. And Ronnie, what were you trying to say?
Okay, so what I was saying is, like, yes, that is the conservative ideology, if I should say. Like, yeah, women who who present themselves as sexually are compared to candies and half-eaten apples, and that's kind of silly objectification of women, which is like
Mhm.
so horrible. I find it so horrible in sense, and being uh, very opposed to traditionalism. I don't think sexualization in general should be a problem. Human beings are sexual beings, okay, except for asexual and aromantic people. They
Mhm.
exist, but human beings in general are sexual beings. And for example, the thing about like revealing skin or something, it is not that just revealing skin you are being sexual or anything. That's not consent or anything like that. It's the problem with the people who think, oh, skin, that's hot. I mean, these are the people who are sexualizing skin, and I think that's the issue. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that girl is revealing too much skin, and I would someone says like that, and I would be like, why the hell are you sexualizing skin? That doesn't make sense in any way. Like, so I think these are the people who are the problem instead of like the sexualized characters, because they can present themselves however they want. Even I am for like, even if a person walks naked on the street, you have no business calling them out for that.
Yeah. And let me share a very funny
Yeah,
story.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, very funny story.
No,
Like,
Sujata,
when I,
Srijoni was raising her hand. She had
oh
to.
yeah, okay, okay. I didn't check. Oh yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
It's it's not much important. I was just like saying that I don't think it's really it could be a problem in general, sexualizing in general, because in human forms also there are a lot of things which I don't even want to talk about. The
Mm-hmm.
thing is that I think it's probably Japan has this etchy side on a larger scale. is probably because over here or over the Western countries, the normal age for consent or these stuffs to be legalized is probably 16 or 17 or 18 in some places. But for Japan, it's actually 13. And they have the uh, smart stores open money in open. They can
Mhm.
literally buy everything, they know everything, they have the birds and the bees talk with their kids very openly as if it's normal. Because if it wasn't normal, how could we explain the world population today? Well, obviously, duh. So it had to be that way because it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's all just how people make up in their mind, like some people still go on about uh, other preferring preferring people with the same gender as being a disease. So these kind of stuffs are really sick. So I think it's probably because of that, because Japan has been uh, liberated of at least these kind of thoughts. So that's why I think since it's 13, that's why there has been another what is that called, category of lolly, I guess, fantasizing about very young girls, probably only because of that, due to the young age. That's all.
Okay. 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 Fine. That's
No,
quite a thing.
yeah, I actually love what Ronnie said, that it's not like skin issue is the problem, it's the people who are. And that
Actually,
bit,
actually.
and that bit cracked me up when he said, "Oh, skin, that's all."
Actually, that's why I was going to say this very funny, like off topic, absolutely. So, like in during my graduations in psychology, so we were being taught about Freud's psychosexual theories and all. So there was this like a very mid 40s, not mid 40, middle aged woman, like they were sitting beside us in metro. Okay, we were going somewhere for, I think it was before puja or something, like where we were going for shopping and all, me and my friend. So this woman, they were talking about someone, they've got married and they're still not taking like they haven't taken up a child or something like that. And then we beside them we were sitting and we were talking about psychosexual. We were going on Freud, and then I uttered this word psychosexual. And the moment I uttered this word, they just turned like this. Like, how could you say this word sexual? Anything regarding sexual? It's very funny. Yes, I absolutely agree with Ronnie. Like, how it is, like, how is it, how it is that I cannot understand why
It's the
that
people.
thing, why being a sexual being, uh, the word sex, or sexual, anywhere near the word of becomes a very tabooed
Right.
term in the society. So that's why I was like, yes, I absolutely agree with Ronnie to some yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I had something to say about that. Like
Yeah, I
people,
also have.
yeah. Can
Yeah, yeah,
I?
go ahead. Yeah,
What?
go ahead, Ronnie.
Okay, so what I
Yeah,
want to say is
go ahead,
like
go ahead.
in conservative societies, when people are like, yeah, sex is taboo, and how can you utter this word? And India is such a society, and that is mostly due to a lack of say among people. Wait, hold on a second.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, it got frozen for me. Anyways, so what I was
Is
saying,
it
yeah,
because
so yeah, the
they are not?
Indian society is like conservative and stuff. They think of the word sex as taboo and everything. And I think that is because of lack of proper sex education among the youth. And what it leads to is what we can see right now. India has a 1.35 billion population, while Japan, which is so sexual, I mean, the youth mostly, not the very older generations, like they have all the edgy stuff. And Japanese are perverts. Let me be real here. Japan has a decreasing population because they think, uh, oh, it's. I mean, yes, Japan is conservative, like where many people still think like sex before marriage is a taboo and everything. Even holding hands or something like that's only something you do when you are in a proper relationship. And even then, like there are so many people in Japan who are like, oh, being sexual or having sex, it's nothing like that special. I don't have to dedicate my entire life to just this one thing which the society decided I should do. I can just do my own thing. And their population is decreasing because they don't care about this kind of stuff. They don't care about raising children. They care about themselves. They care about, oh, this is something I want to do. Whether or not I'll marry, have children, or whatever, I don't care. And I think that's one reason. Like being sexual, I guess, um, admitting like, yeah, you are sexual. If you are not openly sexual, you are close sexual. Okay, so except asexual people, like there's no one who is not sexual at all. And being open about it, being progressive about it, having proper education about it leads to a better quality of life, I would say, because Japan has one of the highest qualities of life. Okay, one of the highest age expectancies, but it's still a declining population because people don't take this as something like their entire life should be dedicated to, unlike as societies like in India.
Actually, I was like, since Ronnie, you just said that they're now their like their thought process is like, let me do what we want to do. Kind of, there's a attitude change. There was this paper I was reading today morning itself, where it said that this attitude has a like manga or anime has a very big part in this kind of an attitude. At some they're saying that, I think the paper, I'll send the links to you guys. But there was this thing that said that uh, how men and women are portrayed in the mangas, like as I've already told earlier, that manga is to them is not just about entertainment and all. They learn from that. It's a kind of, it has been from centuries, actually, mangas. So they take that thing very seriously. So the characterizations of the like the people, the characters over there, actually is like saying, there was this person has conducted interviews where she asked women, like there was like, what do you think about getting married and all. So they start, no, that we won't we don't want to get married. It's better to raise a child alone, because uh, so the like the researcher asks us why, what's the reason, like like they are, according to that subject, that males are wolves according to them, but it's, but so she asked, what do you mean by wolves? uh, so they had this description that male, like they are very, they're only thinking about their work, and the only thing, when they come back home, they don't help out with the domestic. Hold on, there's a plane pass. Okay. It's about nothing about domestic. It's about just their only physical relationship with their wife, and that's it. Uh, so the researcher asks that it is quite common in quite a number of societies. So why do you think it's, and it's also, there's no hardened rule. There are males who help the woman out in like in domestic work and all. So then the subject, they said that no, they don't. It is like, it is a ardent rule. It's there, given in the mangas, and it's written in the stories, that male won't be helping out with domestic work, or you won't be considered a masculine enough for the society if you start helping your wife doing the domestic work, and vice versa, and a wife starts helping out their husband in like any work outside the house, any work other than any like housework, or motivating their husbands. So do you think uh, the mangas or the animes that you've watched, they directly portray such things? Anyone?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you hear me?
Amrita. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
the
excuse me.
I think
Oh, one.
Anindita started. Let Anindita, then I'll get back to you.
No, no, I
Oh,
have to
okay.
leave. I have to
Oh,
leave. That's
okay, okay,
why
okay.
I'm
Bye.
saying.
Bye.
Yeah,
I
bye
have to
bye.
leave for
Take
one.
care. Yeah,
Okay.
Anindita.
Bye bye.
yeah, in most of the mangas, it's shown like that. I mean, even if you read
Mm-hmm.
shoujo mangas, you will find that many girls even have this thing in their when they're giving their final um, exams for school, high school.
Mm-hmm.
They are given this sheet like where you need to write what you want to be in the future,
Mm-hmm.
and the girl can write, "I want to be a wife in the future." So uh, I mean, when you think about it, you won't find any shonen manga or in even in shoujo mangas where a man is writing, "I want to be a husband in the future." It's uh, I've never seen anything like that. And there's this manga I've been reading, Pride of Sex Friend, and in this, a variety of people were shown. Like the female protagonist is a working woman, and she has kind of cut off from her family because her father was, I mean, still is very patriarchal, and she couldn't be there, so she just left. And in the current episode, she has returned to her family for a vacation, and she saw her sister-in-law, who happens to be younger than her, but her sister-in-law already has a child, and it's shown that her husband is not helping her out at all, even though she has just recently given birth. And well, there's this monologue where the female protagonist is saying that his house has not changed at all. And when I mean, few days later, this sister-in-law of the female protagonist visits the sister-in-law, and she sees that uh, the female protagonist is having sex with a person, and it's totally a very hot situation. Like she's enjoying sex, and when the sister-in-law and the female protagonist's brother, they talk about it, it's shown that she's not, I mean, happy there. The guy totally, the sister-in-law tells the brother that, "I want to start walking again," and the guy says that, "No, you are stupid, you cannot walk, you're clumsy." He just straight out tells that to her. And I mean, in a lot of adult or seinen mangas, you'll see women coming out about it, like how they're treated as either machines for creating babies or something like that, or they just need to do domestic work. Uh, so yeah, that's something which is very much prevalent there. And because of that, like, it's very apparent that women are turning away from them. And like a few years ago, my uncle went there, and when he returned to Kolkata, my parents were like, she will only marry a Japanese guy because she always talks about Japan and all. So my uncle was like, "No way, don't do that. Japanese men are very violent." So abuse, domestic abuse is a very normal thing. I mean, there's this. I think you've heard of "Say I Love You." "Say I Love You's mangaka. Uh, she has written many mangas, and they are very much the adult kind. And there's this manga, a one shot I read. It's about a girl who was just living with her boyfriend, but I mean, she was abused for years, but she didn't say anything at all, and she just went through it. And then when she was just, I mean, the boyfriend actually broke up with her. Only then she moved on. She just went on enduring everything for so long. I mean, why would she? And it's shown that I mean, this mangaka always tries to write realistic mangas. So it's not like she is trying to show that this is how it should be, or this is something to fantasize about. It's it's just shown as real, and there are plenty of. I mean, recently I saw a video about how men think about foreign women in Japan. And the women and the men were like, no, I don't want to marry foreign women because they are very overbearing, they are very independent, and I want a Japanese woman because she is very obedient. Somebody actually said that. So it says a lot if a woman in Japan does not want to marry anymore. That's all I have to say.
Right. So, Anima, that was very insightful and full of information. As a woman, do you identify yourself as a woman? Right. As a woman, I'm guessing you identify yourself as a woman. So how does watching anime and manga help you point out flaws? Because we grew up in a very patriarchal society. The world is inherently very patriarchal, right? That's why we need feminism. So how does watching anime and reading manga help you point out things? Oh, these are the flaws of uh, of our society. This is how I have internalized patriarchy so much. So, oh, we have some noise. I don't know. Yeah, am I back on? Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
audible. So
Yeah.
so does it make you like realize that how you have? I mean, does watching anime or manga made you realize at one point of time that, oh, I have been internalizing these kind of patriarchal shit? Like, have you had those moments? And then I'm going
Yeah.
to open up this question to others.
I've been having those moments since 2012, and I was like, there were
How
so
old
many
are
times
you?
I'm 21
How
right
old are
now.
you? Oh, like 2000. Okay, I'll do the maths. Okay.
I
Like,
was
what was the anime? What was the anime? What was the protagonist like? What was the storyline like that made you realize that, oh, I have been brought up and
first of
internalized
all,
these things for
um,
years?
well, first of all, the thing is, it's not really the anime with that. It, it's not the anime which made me realize that I've been kind of, well, mistreated by this patriarchal society. It has a lot of things to do with my past, but I'll not go there. But I had already realized that the society treats women as trash. But then uh, I did not really have the courage to fight. But I came across Kaichoma Maid-sama, where Misaki is a strong woman and she fights men. And I admired her like anything. So, well, when I started admiring her and I tried role playing her, I always wanted to be like her. And well, because of that, I kind of started changing, I guess. But it was, I mean, the fact that I could fight. I mean, I'm still from as a woman's life is always about fighting. The moment she is born, and I mean, her consciousness is born, she starts fighting, and that fight continues on till her last breath. That's a reality in a patriarchal society. So it's been, I mean, uh, there's this uh, there's this anime. I watched this anime, How Haru Ride or Blue Spring Ride. Uh, watching that, I actually realized that I've been bullied all my school life. It was so normalized. I mean, I thought that that's how I should be treated. So I did not realize it until I watched that anime. And well, in I won't say that anime made me realize anything, but when I read those mangas where women are being like they want to be treated as trash by their tsundere counterparts. Like if you watch Okami Shoujo to Kuroji, the male protagonist is shitty. He needs a tight slap. I mean, I don't even know how people think he's a prince. He's not a prince at all. And there's a perfect counterpart for him. I mean, an antithesis that is Usui Takumi. I mean, yeah, he's a pervert, okay, but he's sweet, he's soft, and he's very supportive. And when you see a guy like that, obviously, and he's your ideal, then obviously you can compare and see that how trash people are. I mean, the other men are in those mangas. I mean, there's this uh, manga called I Won't Listen to What Kurosaki Ko is saying. It's still ongoing, and you will find that I mean, the male protagonist is trashier than the one in Okami Shoujo, the Kuroji. But the female protagonist still falls for him and continues to like treat him like something. I mean, she knows that he is bad and all, and he needs to be kicked and sent away to some asylum or something. But she still continues on staying with him, and it's something. I mean, all of my friends were fantasizing about male protagonists like that. All of them, like, um, that's what made me realize how. I mean, the fact that all of my female lead friends were fantasizing about trashy, abusive male characters. That's made me realize that so this patriarchal society has really ruined our mindset, and uh, we do not have enough caring men in our lives who make us feel that we deserve the best, and it's just normalized like that. And I guess characters like Ukumi Takumi or the male protagonist or the whole I mean all of the characters from Oran High School Host Club, they make me realize that uh, men, I mean, the drastic difference between how men mostly are and how we would want men to be like. And few minutes ago, metrosexuality was a topic, right? And it might be going off topic, but I'm a K-pop fan, most basically BTS fan, and all of them. Uh, I mean, K-pop guys dress up really well, and they shave and all. Mostly Koreans are like that, and even in if you go to northern India, you'll find northeastern India rather. If you go there, you'll find guys dressed very neatly. And most of my friends, they always ask me, "Why are you into K-pop?" They are gay. They are gay, and why? Because they dress up well, and in most of the K dramas, those men are shown to be very caring, and those men are pretty much similar to what kind of shoujo mangas have been preferring all along. And these masculine men cannot accept characters like that. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but it's just me explaining why. So these contrasts are there, and I mean, I'm so sorry. I'm saying as if I'm very frustrated. I am, and it's showing in the video.
Um,
Uh,
I have an
Sorry.
argument to
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
so I have an argument to what Nandita said about Takuya Usumi. Like, uh, yeah, I mean, you said like you saw your friends uh, uh, idolizing this male characters who are obviously like shit, uh, to be real. And I would argue that Takumi Usui isn't that great of character because yes, you said that he's sweet and everything, but I don't say. I mean, he is a pervert, but being pervert is not his problem. What I want to say is he's also a possessive jerk because he doesn't have a business with kissing Misaki when she never made any signs of consent. Uh, when Misaki said no to Takumi, he kept stalking her. He kept going to where she is. That's basically stalking. uh, he didn't take no as the final answer, and in real life I don't care what people want in anime. In real life this would be very creepy. And he has also a positive attitude. I mean, yes, there are jerks who were annoying Misaki and everything, and he shoved them off. Yes, but he didn't do it like uh, just a person. He did it because he claimed Misaki as his own. He it was like Misaki was his possession that he needed to protect, and that's how he did it. He that's how his possessive nature came out. And yeah, about the consent, he kept on kissing Misaki whenever like there was no consent. I mean, yeah, it's fine if Misaki was flirtatious or something, she was giving him signs. Yep, that's completely fine. But she was anything but that. She was actually afraid the first time he kissed her, and that's a molestation. That is technically sexual molestation.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I said that I came across Kaichou Maid-sama as the first, shoujo anime, which actually made me find a real, guy, I guess. But that was the time when I was 13, and that was like the first shoujo I kind of ever came across. Before that, I was more into shonen, and shonen was shown more. So at that time, since I had not even read many mangas, it felt like, yeah, he's a great guy. And even though, and I mean, I'm not saying that he's ideal at all, actually, because when I said pervert, it encompassed those things like he kissed her and he even flipped her skirt, he stalked her, and a lot of things. But the factor is he was caring, and he was also very supportive. And women don't really get guys like that often. And to be honest, it's very, recently I was having this conversation with another friend of mine, and we just came to this conclusion that women don't even want good looking men anymore. We just want somebody who will accept us as who we are, and and they will just support us. That's all we want. And at that time, Usui Takumi seemed like somebody who would support Misaki and accept her. And that's what made me feel like he's a great person and he's a great character. Afterwards, when I explored the shoujo manga, and I found many amazing guys. Like in if you have heard of Horimiya, I think the male protagonist is like, I find that male protagonist is my ideal man, to be honest. And uh, Usui Takumi was, you can say a puppy love, and that time I didn't really understand the whole concept of sexual assault and stuffs like that. But after all this time, when I've read through all that, I understand those now. I was just highlighting the word caring and also the word supportive.
Yeah, I think I can. I mean, I know where that is coming from. What Anita is saying, and
ওয়ান
from
মিনিট
saying,
1 মিনিট,
yeah,
আমি মানে আমাকে একটা কাজ পড়ে গেছে, আমি কুইট করতে চাই মিটিংটা, সো বাই।
okay, yeah, you can leave. Okay, okay,
বাই।
bye.
Bye bye bye.
গুড নাইট।
Good night.
গুড নাইট।
Okay, you have to edit these bits, Ronnie.
It will be
Yeah.
like it's a
So
long.
the thing that Ronnie was pointing out, that stalking and forcefully kissing, yeah, these are sexual molestation that we often kind of ignore this. I mean, because from time to time, pop culture, even if you look at Bollywood, they have been normalizing these things from the beginning of time. Like even if you look at the lyrics of any Bollywood songs, like you have to run after a girl, you have to bother her, you have to stalk her till the time she says yes. They don't get no means no. Anyway, so that's a problem. That's a really problem that has got internalized and embedded in our society. So I'm going to ask Ronnie the question, the same question I asked on Nita, which is, did you have? I'm sure you've had those moments where you realize that when you watched a manga, when you read a manga and watched an anime, that oh, I have been internalizing these patriarchal shit all my life. This is completely different. I have been. I mean, did you have those eye-opening moments?
Um, okay, so I had those times like yeah. I mean, like I think we all of us grew up in this society, in patriarchal parents, like parents teaching us what one should be like, and I mean all the conservative stuff. And yeah, so that's how I grew up too. But I was never like I was always I think I like to believe I was always a skeptic, and I always questioned how things are in general in the world. And yeah, I used to question like while watching anime or anything else, like uh, whenever like I always there were female characters whom I liked. Let's say in some kind of battle anime or even Pokemon, there were female characters. I mean, there are strong female trainers in Pokemon, but yeah, I mean, it one wasn't much of a problem, but there were other stories which were like where I thought like, okay, so all these cool male characters are getting so so great fights and everything, and they're being so cool and everything. That's all good, but when will my favorite female character get her moments? And I was often disappointed and stuff like that. I mean, I wish she got in her own fight too or something like that. And as I grew up, uh, I came to realize that there's nothing really different between being man or a woman. I mean, the differences are what society created. Even biology doesn't decide your gender, to be real. It decides sex, but it doesn't decide gender. And yeah, that's why I thought like that's why as I grew up, I got into some anime where there were certain characters like Faith. The Faith series is one of my favorite series, and King Arthur, famous character from the Legends of King Arthur and the Round Table Knights. And this character was portrayed as a female character in this series, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And she was not like a, clumsy, dependent female character. She was quite independent and very strong, one of the strongest characters in the series, and that's good. While the male protagonist of Fate Stay Night was like he was also had that uh, kind of personality where he was like, oh, you are female, you are a girl, so I need to protect you, and that kind of shit. Like we the society we grew up in, And I know lots of people who are like, oh, you need to protect girls, they cannot protect themselves, which is so such a patriarchal thinking, like to say that girls cannot do anything from themselves. And these are the times when I thought like, oh, so yeah, is when a woman is independent and everything, there's no need for man to say, oh, you're a girl, that's why I need to protect you. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You protect people who are weak, it could be a man or a woman. And you just, if you're a strong woman, you can protect a weak man, maybe a kid. If you're a strong man, you can protect a weaker woman or a man, anything. Like, it's just the strong protects the weak, not a man protects a woman all the time, because that implies that men are inherently strong and women are always weak. So that's not the thing. And these are the kind of anime that as I grew up, I just realized, like, I mean, I don't think it was just one moment where I realized, oh, everything's coming to me now. I got the knowledge of the universe. No, it was nothing like that. But I think I just gradually grew up realizing things.
Yeah, my question was did anime or manga played a role into this
Oh yes, they
how
of
you
course played a role, but it was not like one moment that opened my eyes or anything. It was like gradually as I grew up, I just realized, yeah, anime and manga were part of this because these were the media I got. I mean, Hollywood and anime. These are the media I consumed the most. So of course, this played a part, but it was just not one moment. It was more like a gradual thing.
right, right. It's very interesting thing that he said that it's not just men protecting the women, it should be strong protecting the weak. So I think we are only talking about gender binary and gender binarity,
Mhm.
and this is something Ronnie said in the beginning that the he the characters, the trap characters, introduction of trap characters in anime and manga, and how the term trap is so homophobic. And Ronnie and I talked
Yeah.
about this earlier a bit, that why is the term so homophobic? So I just made, I did not know about this existence of trap characters, and I asked Ronnie, oh, are you talking about trap being a subgenre of hip hop music? And he said, no, like trap characters in anime and manga, which which is very derogatory and which is pejorative. So it basically means. I think Ronnie should do a better justice in explaining this because I just learned about it recently. Ronnie?
Oh yes.
Okay, so trap characters are basically characters who are male by birth, or they could be intersex in some cases, but like the society views them as like the society would view them as male by their outer characteristics like genitalia and secondary sexual characteristics. That's the thing. And but these characters are called traps. I mean, these characters, even though they are male by birth, they have a very feminine appearance, or they are just trans women. Like they are male by birth, but they want to be women and they identify as women, or they could, it could just be that their gender expression is feminine. And these are the characters which are considered as scraps. But I mean, crap is not a Japanese term.
And you mentioned that these characters initially are used as a comic relief.
Yes.
I mean, yes, this okay, so these characters were used as comic relief because I mean, it's about not just Japan, it's all around the world. This kind of characters, like, oh yeah, that's comedy. Like even in India, the portrayal of the Hijra community and the other transgender communities, uh, these are just comedy for comedic purposes, and they don't really have a meaning and stuff. And that's something derogatory. And even I was talking about the term crap, like that's not a Japanese term, that's an English term. The Japanese term for them is otokonoko, but trap was the term used because it was like, oh, men will think these are women and they will pursue them and they will be trapped. And that's why it's derogatory, because some of them are legit women because they are trans women, they identify as women and hence they're women. And some of these are not, some of them are not. But that I mean, how you dress as shouldn't really matter anyway. So yeah, also if they're men and if a man pursues them anyway knowing that they're men and everything, like, and how are they trapped, it could the man could be gay, and so it's also homophobic, it's homophobic as well as transphobic. However, most people who use this term don't usually know the meaning behind it. They just think, oh, it's another term, and that is okay. I mean, the intention totally matters for me. But my point is that I also use this term sometimes, even though I hold back from using this term in certain cases. Like I forgot her name, the girl from Steins Gate who is a legit trans woman, and people call her trap, but yeah, she's not technically. uh, but yeah, so that's the thing, like it's homophobic and transphobic in its origins, and people using it are just allowing the homophobia and transphobia to continue in the anime community, which is still prevalent in.
Is a trap character, is a trap word used by the audience? I mean, it was not there, but it was not. I mean, the intention with which the makers created this character
I
is
think,
different from how the audience perceived it. I mean, is it a perception, this trap thing, the word trap, that this character
okay,
is a trap
like I
character?
said, like it was mostly at first it was for comedic purposes, like, oh, this they are like a funny character, all these
Right.
guys will think, like, this was the original intention behind the trap character in most parts. All these guys will think it's a girl, but no, it's a boy. And so yeah, it was kind of like that's how it got the name trap, I suppose, because that is kind of implying that it's a trap. Oh, every guy will think it's a girl, but oh no, it's a boy.
Right.
Oh, I have this thing, a question like, do you think like even in modern society now also the like being homosexual or transgender or uh, bisexual or anyone fluid person uh, uh, is like a taboo or looked down upon or something, whichever way you prefer to describe it. Uh, so this, I do you think that the authors like try to put like this a different categorization of human being uh, and turned it to a comedic character just to like it's a kind of a balm, working as a balm, like there are people like this, since people won't be a very it will be a shock to certain people that there are people like this, they try to cover it with like a comedic flu for the character. What do you think?
Okay, I didn't actually understand the last part because can you repeat the final part again?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I was just saying that since being homosexual or transsexual or bisexual or anyone having a gender fluid identity is very, it's a tabooed, uh, what you can say, gender thinking way or a tabooed term or tabooed, very looked down upon thing as a general in society. Uh, but though there's now it's changing gradually, but since it's and since there have been whatever the thing is, trap characters in mangas and animes for quite a long, like from quite a back period, and probably is it probably that author wanted to um, like say that there are people like homosexual, trans, bisexual people in the society. But since it can be a shock to a it can be shock to a patriarchal or conservative society, they try to like dilute it with comedy.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's not impossible. I won't just claim it's impossible. I don't have any like data or studies right now to say something like claim something about it. But yeah, it's possible. However, I think like when they portray these characters as comedy, I mean, they do accept their existence, but they don't accept them, if that makes sense. I mean,
Okay,
they accept
yes,
that
yes,
yes, these
I get
people
it.
exist, but these people are not like how you
They
should be.
succumb to
Uh,
stereotypes like
Stereotypes, huh?
like a homosexual man has to wear makeup, but that's not true, right?
True, yes.
A lesbian woman
Yeah,
has to be tomboyish, which is not true. So,
yeah.
I
another question I want to ask, only we have Anindita and Ronnie. Oh, yeah, Ronnie, you were saying something?
no, I think like this transphobia that's or the and this comedy of crab cactus also stems from misogyny because in society, in contemporary society, women being masculine, like wearing trousers and everything, that's not taboo anymore. I mean,
Yeah, it's
it
not
is in
that
some
bad.
parts,
It's not
but
that bad, but
men
yeah, I
being
understand.
feminine is a huge problem to many people, and that's mostly because I think it's because the society views like being feminine or something is inferior to being masculine, and I think that plays a huge role in transphobia. And
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
So my next question is like, are there? I mean, you mentioned how crap characters are ridiculed and used as a comic relief in back in the earlier days. What's the
Mhm.
situation like now? What's the representation like now for trans characters or LGBTQ characters? Are there good representations?
I mean, there is still a long way to go. I mean, yes, there have been better representations lately, but no, I mean, they're not as good as they can be yet. I mean, yes, like I mentioned before in this video, like one of my favorite series is the Fate series, and there's this character Astolfo, and he's like my favorite character in the series just because he is gender fluid and he doesn't care about the gender norms and everything. And there was
Right.
this moment when there's this girl who thought he's a girl, and he said, and she saw his bulge and the genitalia, and she was shocked, and he was like, "Oh, you didn't know?" And it was like such a nice moment because it implied that you shouldn't just assume someone's gender or anything just based on their appearance or how they dress as. And as told, we never said that I identify as a girl, so I'm just using the male pronouns for him. I never said that he identifies as a girl, especially actually on the contrary, he actually said, "Oh yeah, I'm male," and that's it. But I think that is could be gender fluid because he doesn't mind being called a girl or anything. It's not like he minds that. Even when others referred like, "Do you like this certain male character who has been with you for so long?" And he was like, I haven't thought about it. It's not like he was very disgusted. Oh, how can I like? I'm a boy. I'm gonna like someone who's also a boy or anything like. So that makes me think that he's not limited to one certain gender or sex when it comes to attraction either. So that's the kind of fluidity I really like.
Anindita?
Well, I won't say that it has been. I mean, it is a recent phenomenon. Like if you think about Yu Yu Hakusho, okay. First of all, I think mangas and anime they have this way of revolting or trying to make a change in a very subtle way. They don't do it in a very apparent way so that others will turn away from it. So when you read Yu Yu Hakusho, there's this character, I forgot the name, but she appears in the um, last arc. She is a king. And throughout the whole arc, it's kind of, I mean, in the beginning, it's not even sure that what that character's gender is, because king is something which is considered to be, I mean, kings are only for women, sorry, men, right? So women are not called king. And at the end of the whole series, we find out that character is a female, but it was shown that I mean, whatever that chap word, it is considered to be demeaning, and but it existed from a long time ago, and from then on, the same author of Yu Yu Hakusho, he made Hunter x Hunter, and there are many characters who are actually chap. So like when you consider Kirua's sister, uh, I mean, Kirua, Kirua did not have any sisters. All of them were boys, but Aluka, she, I mean, she thinks she relates to a girl. She thinks that she is a girl, and there's this scene where Killua tells that she is a girl, although the butler is saying that. I mean, the situation is kind of like Aluka is considered to be a boy, so it's fine even if a man attends to her, but Killua confronts the butler saying that she is a girl and she should be treated like that. And there's this character called Neferupito, and the whole situation. I mean, even now, although Neferupito is dead, people are arguing that whether she's a woman or not. But I mean, Neferupito has the body of a woman. It looks like that, but in if you watch the anime in Japanese dub, you will find Neferupito calling herself. I mean, when she uses the Japanese term of I, it's the male term. I mean, ore. She uses. I mean, he uses ore, and from from that we can consider that Neferupito. I mean, at least I consider that Neferupito. I mean, thinks that I mean, he's a boy, a man. So, I mean, Neferupito is a prominent character of Hunter x Hunter, and even Aluka is. So, I mean, I won't say that they have been treated as only side characters who are very insignificant or just for comedy. Because even if you think about Kurapika, who is a very prominent character of Hunter x Hunter, many consider his appearance as feminine, and many even call him chap. So, I mean, but still, he is very strong, and Hunter x Hunter has been there for a long time. I mean, it was created since, I mean, around 1998 or something like that. I don't remember the time well, but uh, I mean, I won't say that it is a recent phenomenon, but it has been going on for a long time now, like giving them importance. And uh, to be honest, yeah, most of the mangakas don't really give them much importance. But there are some who actually like were trying to make a change, make a difference, like the mangaka of Hunter x Hunter, and there are many others as well.
Sujata, you want to add
For
on to that?
me,
Yeah.
uh, I think I don't know. It's coming from my perspective. Like as I've already said that mangas and manga especially have always been no doubt since it has been written in a particular society. Obviously, that society will have some kind of what do you say, kind of an imprint on how you portray a character or write a character, something. But since I think, as we all know, like other than earlier mangas, some of the mangas are kind of from taken from short stories, which were like mainly written short stories during war periods, which were, or any feudal very periods, which were kind of an underlying, very subtle stories, which pointed out the bad things of the society then, the norms then, societal norms then. So it kind was a kind of a rebel against it. So I think uh, the mangakas do kind of uh, give what you now we are calling trap characters of there. I actually don't like that term, but I'll just say gender fluid characters. So they kind of that's what I was asking. That the question what I said, I also believe that to some extent, some mangakas are it's very straightforward. They're not like pinpointing kind of a some certain characters, stereotypical characters, assumed stereotypical characters of uh, such identity. But I think uh, but I think the mangakas actually put those stereotypical norms, thinking that it might generalize or normalize these people of the genderless identity. But unfortunately, they have some reverse effect, and uh, society takes it as it is and ridicules such characters. So I think it's better, like Ronnie said, it's better if you're putting such characters to uh, for normalizing them. It's better to like put a straightforward, just uh, uh, play it as a normal character, how any normal human being will interact. So yeah, I think so. That's how it is, should be.
So can we say, and also I want to ask you guys this, that is anime manga as a medium. Do you think gender representation in anime and manga is progressive, is inclusive, and is are they better represented in this medium than other mediums, Ronnie?
Uh, okay, so about inclusivity, I would still think Netflix is way ahead of anime for now. But yeah, anime is, I would say anime
But
is on its
Netflix is
way.
just a streaming, but Netflix is a streaming service.
I mean, yes, Netflix is a streaming service, but
I mean,
there are they
it's
have their
anime on Netflix.
originals and they choose to air
Yeah,
what they want. So I mean, yes, they have taken some
right,
past titles and chosen to air them, but these
right,
days it's mostly like Netflix says, "Oh, okay, you have this, I'll take it." Well, other studios
right.
might reject them because of how controversial they could be in some conservative societies. And I think that's how it's ahead. But anime, I think it is on its way because, for example, Boku no Hero Academia, the
Hmm.
shonen manga recently, like it has some inclusivity in it. It has gay characters, trans characters, and they're just casually put there. It's not like, oh,
Yeah,
this
very
character is gay
normally.
and that's everything about them, or this character is trans and that's everything. No, there's just this character who's just like any other character, could be a villain, could be a hero, could be a regular person, and they happen to be
Right.
gay or they happen to be trans, and that's it. And I think that helps in the process of normalization. So I would say anime is going up there, but it's not the best, but it's up there.
But it's interesting you brought a comparison between anime and Netflix. Yeah, Netflix, Amazon, these are new streaming services, and it will be more inclusive. I mean, it will be more inclusive than a normal what we would watch on television, the serials, not just not just Indian serials. I mean, let's not talk about Indian serials or any kind of serials. So TV, yeah, television is a medium. So if I compare television with Netflix and Amazon and other streaming services, yeah, the streaming services are far more intrusive and progressive. And what is the other word I use? I forgot. But do you think that anime manga has a tradition that it follows? Is that is there something like that?
I mean, it is based on Japanese culture and tradition, but they're not limited to it. Like, unlike Indian animations, India is all about everything in India is about freaking religion, tradition, and everything. But anime is not restricted to that. So that's something I like. I don't think it follows a particular tradition. I mean, yes, like there have been certain periods in time when most anime were a certain way. Like just the last decade, the 2010s decade, it was about the isekai genre. Like there were a whole bunch of isekai, new isekai anime, so many people call it the isekai decade. And that's how it is, but I don't think it follows just one tradition. It is restricted to just one thing. I mean, it depends on the author's views. Like, for example, my favorite manga, One Piece,
Mm-hmm.
it has so many different kinds of culture in it. The world building, I think it is the best ever world building in all of fiction, One Piece. And there's so many different kinds of cultures and traditions and different kinds of people in that just one story which has been going on for over 20 years now.
So if you have to recommend a manga or an anime that has is very inclusive and that has got better representation, will that be One Piece?
Yeah, One Piece is certainly up there because I mean it has really great representation and morals and stuff. Not just, I mean, it has tackled lots of different problems in society all around the world today. And if you but you have to really like I don't think any casual watcher would just hate everything in it. Like, I mean, there are some things which people have to take, I mean, not too deep, but somewhat someone can not just be like, I think I don't think a child watching One Piece, like a kid like below not even a teenager, I think I don't think they would be like, oh, so this says this or something, this is teaches us about this. I don't think they would be like that. They would just think it's cool. But maybe when they grow up, they can realize, oh, this what I watched back as a kid in One Piece. This the author's this. I mean, I don't think kids or like just anyone can get it. Like there are other anime like Boku no Hero Academia, but people have to like see through them. Like, yeah, they're implied, but there I've seen people who don't even notice that stuff because they're just like not into that, I guess. And Faith is another one, Fate series, because it has lots of different historical characters. For example, King Arthur and Astolfo was male in history, but it was gender non-conforming in the anime. King Arthur, Mordred, they were male characters in uh, legends, Britain, English fiction, and these are female characters in this anime. There are also other stuff. For example, Jack the Ripper is also female, and Leonardo da Vinci's character in Face series is another interesting one because when people from modern day met Leonardo da Vinci in the anime, they were like, "Oh, I thought Leonardo da Vinci was man," and he was like, um, my and he was like he mentioned the Mona Lisa, where he said, I mean, this is something we also discuss in the real world today. Like people debate like, yeah, Mona Lisa was probably Leonardo da Vinci's self-portrait as a female because he could have been gay or trans or something. And this was taken much further in the anime. Well, Leonardo da Vinci said, I consider Mona Lisa to be the perfect beauty, and that's why and, I just what's the word? I don't. Okay, I'm forgetting the word right now, but yeah. So I encompass the beauty of the Mona Lisa, and that's why what I aspire to be, and things like that.
right. Wow. Anindita, same question. Like, do you think anime manga as a medium is very progressive, very inclusive, and gender is better represented than other mediums? And if you have to recommend a few anime manga which has better, which has really great gender representation, what would they be?
Mm, in case of Japan, it is very inclusive. In case of the world, it is not at all inclusive. I won't say not at all, but not up to the mark. Yeah, that will be better. And if I have to say um, gender fluid mangas or animes, yeah, Hunter x Hunter and Hunter x Hunter is my favorite anime, and uh, I just recommend it to everybody, and it is. I mean, I've seen a lot of gender fluid characters in it, and apart from that, I would like to suggest if you would read Utsutsuki. It has, I mean, Utsutsuki, and there's this another one. Shit, I'm forgetting about it. Hmm. Okay, I forgot about it. Anyway, these are the two I would like to suggest.
Right. Sujata, same question, and then we.
Uh, no, at the moment I don't have any other questions. It's quite, we've discussed it thoroughly actually.
Yeah, yeah. So can we wrap up then?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Any anything you guys want to touch upon? We only have Ronnie and Anita right now. Everybody just left us.
I mean, it
Just
has been
left
like
us.
what, 2 hours, over 2 hours.
2 hours.
So
Yeah, over two
Over.
hours, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
almost 2.5 hours. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's
So did we
reasonable.
yeah, it's reasonable. Yeah. So did we enjoy this discussion? I got to know quite a lot about a lot
Yes,
of things.
I did.
Yeah. I know what whenever you guys mention an anime, kind of make a note, and because later I will check it out on the Google.
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead. We'll send you a list. Don't worry.
Any
I
any
mean,
concluding notes, guys? Yeah.
I think I sent my anime list profile in the group. I don't remember if I sent it there, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
you did. You did. I will check it out. I will check it out. Yeah, sure. Thank you guys for joining and for participating in this discussion. It was very educational for me.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Very insightful. Thank you and good night.
yep.
Right.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.